Hey everyone, it's been a long time, I think a year, since we have done anaxskool Live, and it feels really good to be back. I don't know why Florian and I thought this would be a good idea to just squeeze this in right before we fly out to Chicago tomorrow, but we did, and I think you'll be really glad we did. Today, we want to talk about something that was really an essential element of the Soprano Surface microlayering ceramic system. Something that everybody was really excited about when we first introduced Soprano Surface a couple years ago was that everything matched anaxgum. All the pastes of the ceramic system matched the pastes of the anaxgum composite system. But there was one crucial thing missing. We didn't have a true match for anaxgum paint red. And if you use anaxgum, or you know somebody who does, you know that anaxgum paint red is really important to getting that natural aesthetic where it looks like there's truly blood and vascularity in the tissue. So a couple months ago, we brought it. And it changed everything about the way that Florian Steinheber, the key technician we have leaned on from Germany who helped develop the system with Sandra Matteau, it changed everything about his technique. And I was really excited when he started sending me pictures about how simple it was, how predictable it was, and how beautiful it was, and how it truly did mirror what he was able to accomplish with anaxgum. And so I asked him if he would share just a little bit of that technique with you today. It's what he's going to be teaching moving forward at all his courses. It's what he's going to show live at the booth in Chicago, but not all of you are going to Chicago. So I thought, why not give them a little peek? If they are going to go, give them a little sneak peek. And if they're not going to be there, they get to see it too. So I am happy to welcome Florian Steinheber and welcome to anaxskool. Hey, Florian.
Hey, Tay. Hey, everybody.
It's so good to see you.
Really good. I mean, maybe we see you tomorrow in Chicago.
I know.
I mean,
I
the
was just
storm
saying
will
before
bring me over.
we brought you on, I was like, I don't know why we thought this was a good idea. You and I are so stressed. And you're the one, I almost let it slide. And then like a week ago, you said, when are we doing anaxskool? I was like, oh, okay, fine. But when you were showing me your pictures, I was like, okay, no, this is something we need to do. Everybody needs to see it. Now, I want to say, if you've seen anaxskool before, you know, Florian, you've done a couple episodes with us before. They're all on our YouTube channel. People can go back and watch. You have a great one on anaxgum on there. But they were like an hour long. I think we tried to like keep them within an hour. This, we're going to try to keep around 30 minutes. So we don't have a whole lot of time, but I'm really excited about what you're going to show them today. We are going to stick with what nature intended gingiva to look like. And when I was talking to you yesterday to get an idea of what you wanted to show and discuss, that was something that was really, really important to you. And you mentioned that you just really weren't able to achieve that natural gingiva aesthetic with some of the products that had been really popular before Soprano Surface and still are really popular when Soprano Surface came on the market. So one of the first questions I had for you is microlayering. It's not stain and glaze. It's true microlayering with Soprano Surface. Why is that the closest thing to nature? What's different about it that makes you able to achieve a natural result where you weren't able to before?
I mean, we've talked about many times about the frame design or cutback design in the green state, and for me, it makes more. It's way easier. I mean, for my anaxgum technique and also my regular ceramic technique, I build up the anatomy of the natural anatomy of the bone, and so now I can do that in zirconia. I just reduce it really thin, and I build up my ceramic just over my anatomic cutback. So that makes my life way easier and faster.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So before you were using Soprano Surface, I mean, I think everybody is using Mio, right? Is using Mio, has used Mio. So were you able, they have something similar with the structure paste. Were you able to get that appearance with Mio? Were you able to do that? I know you used it.
Yeah, so as you know me, so I always try all the materials on the market. I start with Mio and always the other materials on the market. The problem is like this is just a staining technique, and I mean people know me. I do a stain technique, but it's to get more depth inside. We need more really the blood color. So and that was for me always I'm missing in all the systems. I never had that really dark and blood red. So that's what I was missing, and this is for me impossible to do that in a micro layering, as your chroma is not there, the pigments are not there, so you cannot bring them inside. So, and if you just have a thin layer, it's impossible to get a really nice natural aesthetic, as we have to learn from the nature.
That's true. Okay, so you've mentioned it a couple times. The blood color is so important. I know that when we didn't have it, I heard about it a lot. And it's funny, Florian, because you're involved in the development of these products. One of the things that I remember talking to you about often whenever I'm going to bring something new on, I'll call you and be like, okay, they're saying it's good, but like, really, is it good? And you said, listen, like, I put my work side by side. Sometimes I have trouble telling what's anaxgum and what's ceramic, what's Soprano Surface. But the red's not great. And we really tried, but like the red's not great. And I wanted the system to be so perfect that I just kind of said, oh, it's okay. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But one person after another was trying to get the aesthetics they got with anaxgum with Surface, and they were struggling. So what is it about that blood color, that blood red color, that is so crucial?
I mean,
Why is it so absent from ceramic? I mean, it wasn't just us. It was really hard for very few people have something that's the color of blood.
I know. Maybe we have to start with the presentation. So I have to explain a little bit about the natural gingiva and why the blood is so important for us.
Okay, so disclaimer. I can see the presentation up. I can see Florian's presentation. And this is one of my favorite pictures. But if you're like one of my friends or something and you're curious about what I do for a living and you're watching this, just like go. You don't want to see this picture. Because
Halloween is over.
Gorgeous, but it's gross. So before I pull it up, just disclaimer. Okay, here.
I mean, next time we have to do a Halloween episode. I mean, that's true Halloween.
So I told you this picture. Well, I was so excited you loved it as much as I did when I sent it to you. This was from a really good friend of mine who's a periodontist. And I asked him, do you have some, pictures of tissue where you can see the tissue? Gingiva really isn't pink. It's the blood. And he's like, oh, I've got a good one. And I was like, did you like put that on a tray and go leave a surgery to go take a picture? Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He said he does it all the time. David Wong, thank you if you're watching.
Really, thank you so much. Photo. Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing picture. Yeah, so I call it the Bloody Mary. Not even I don't like it, but it's I don't know. Remember me to a Bloody Mary, but it's like we can also call it gingiva isn't pink, and that's true because I talk to so many people, even dentists, and when we talk about the natural color of the gingiva, everybody's telling me, this is pink. So maybe not. And here, so in this picture, you can even see that perfectly. The natural gingiva is not pink. If you try them for a few seconds, for a few minutes, you will see the natural color. It's more white. And just what we see is here perfectly our Bloody Mary. This is the blood. It gives us more the color and this depth inside, but the real gingiva, it's white. And if we talk about gingiva, we have to understand there are two really important things when we want to create a gingiva. So here you can see this is more flexible, mobile, so we can move that when we move, when we talk, when we open the mouth, the lips. So this is everything it's flexible, it's a movement there. So, but here, and the attached gingiva, this is fixed on the bone. So, and as you can see, this one is more white. It looks more white and not like so dark and bloody like the mobile one. So, why? Because it's so close and so thin, we have the bone behind this attached gingiva. So that makes us more a more light gingiva. So this is something I have to understand since like the last 10 years, how the gingiva is working. And this was the first step. And this is a beautiful picture because you can see all these veins, this blood, but also the attached gingiva, which is really beautiful in this picture. So what I do for many years now, I always try, it's the next one for Halloween, and thank you to my really good friend, Dr. Javier Vasquez. So he make these amazing pictures, and I love them a lot. So, and for me, it's a really special picture because we can learn more about our colors, what we using every day in our lab. If it's anaxgum or if it's Soprano Surface, we can see here all the color what we have included in the kit. So like, let's start. Here we can see the light pink. And this is something like we have in the composite, even in the ceramic. This is light pink. We can see it perfectly here.
Yep.
We have here stained blood, which is new, which is more like similar to the stained red from anaxgum. A piece of orange pink. Orange pink is a really important thing when we covered a little bit the roof and the bone with the orange pink. This looks really perfect, and we can see it here directly on the way on the roof.
Yeah, because the area on the root eminence really kind of does have a little bit of a yellowish, orangey kind of tone
Right.
to it. Yeah.
That's right. So at least here we can see more a blue and more translucent gingiva. This is more the violet pink. So as you can see, this is a really perfect color map when we can see what we can get out of the kits from Anax, and it's perfect because you can see the color here, and you have all the colors straight in the kit. So it's not like you have to mix it; they are still there. So here also we can see a little bit of dark pink, which is a really important color. You can see that later in my new staining or my new layering technique.
Love it. Oh, and I have to give a shout out. So listen, if you guys comment on this live stream, once the live stream's over and it's replaying, we can't pull comments in, obviously. But if you do comment, then if you have a question, please post it as a comment. We'll bring it up. I have to pull this up because it makes me happy. Bobby Clark says soprano is the best. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, so here another great case and pictures of my friend Dr. Javier Vasquez. And he loves the pink cases like me, and he loved his bloody stuff. And as you can see here, the same. You see the stained blood, or in anaxgum, it's the stained red. This is something like we have here, a lot of thickness of gingiva between the root, and it's more thick, so we have more blood. So this looks darker, but at least it's white.
Yep.
Even here we have the violet one, which is always go straight to the mobile gingiva one. So this is more violet one. And here we have also a really nice new color. Sounds the root color. We have it in the stain and paste, like the blood. It's available in paste and stain, and I love that to have both. And the root, yeah. So this gives us more that yellow color, which Tay, because Tay knows me and Tay know all my lectures, so at least I can shut up and Tay can play. It's like, so that's perfect. But it's, yeah, this is a new color, which is really, we need it to bring the bone more out and also the roots more. This is something like an orange yellow color. And if you cover that with the pink, it looks perfect.
Yep. So I know that in anaxgum, a lot of our customers use the Anax Blend Colors S yellow, that yellow like cure stain.
Right.
I know that's something you've shown in your technique before, where it's just doesn't take much, just a little bit, and it really kind of shows through. So what I think is interesting, and I've always loved about anaxgum, and I love to see that now you can really emulate it with Soprano Surface, is so many other pink systems out there try to give everybody what they think they want, which is right out of the pot or right out of the tube, the perfect color. but without the depth. I mean, look at nature. You know, that bloody red color was completely hidden and diffused under gingiva until that flap was made, right? So it's there. So it makes a lot of sense that this really, the anaxgum and now Soprano Surface layering technique with those intense blood colors down first and the dentin colors down first, that's the reason you see an anaxgum case or one of your Soprano cases, and you go, wow, that looks so natural. It's because it's color that's being diffused through the tissue layer.
That's right. Yeah, so that's exactly what you explained, Tate. The magic of me, it's always the first step, and that's always the start is with the plot. We need this plot to get more depth inside in our cases.
So
Yeah,
let me ask you then, and you made that, it looks like you're going to go over that now. So everybody also is trying to get this beautiful aesthetic in as few layers as possible. So I'm going to tell you, this is what everybody wants to know. And as you take us through your layering, I know sometimes you do more layers, maybe 3 layers to get the aesthetic you want. Maybe you can do 2. But how many layers or bakes does it normally take you now that you have the blood to get that
2.
natural aesthetic?
So now with this new technique, at least I need 2 bakes. This is my first, which is a stain bake, which is always the same like I use for the white aesthetic. So I do the white and the pink in the same time. So if I do an internal staining for the white aesthetic,
Sure.
I make my stain and I put my stain mix, which I show you later. So that's I doing that in one step. So I bake that, and then I just put maybe enamel on top of the white aesthetic and my dark pink around on the circle on my gingiva, and there's 2 bakes. That's perfect to
Got
me.
it. Okay.
And like I told you, I'm working on a different technique. Maybe we can go faster now.
I know. I'm not even going to say what your technique is because it scares me a little bit, but I know that you'll test it a lot before you ever show me. So that's good. But you're working toward a 1 bake technique where it would
Yep.
still have that layered look. So I hope you accomplish that.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
a lot of people will be very
don't
happy.
tell it to the people, Tay. Okay, it's a secret.
Okay. I think they know we're trying.
Oh, sorry, my camera's moving. Okay, yeah. So, and I don't want to talk about anaxgum. I just want to show you because
Okay.
there's a little bit different if you make a cutback. So if you're working with acrylics, we can have more space in the proximal area and all that because we have more space. We build up now the anatomy of the gingiva, and that's what I want to show. So this is a composite teeth with an acrylic base, like you do maybe some dentures. And I just want to show you what I'm doing because it's the same step like you see on the nature. We need that yellow, which is the root color of the ceramic. We put the red stain, we mix it inside, we bring the blood inside in our case. So we build up our gingiva here with the dark pink inside in the papilla, because papilla, I know I talk maybe like 10 times or 20 times in our webinars and anaxskool. We need dark colors in the papilla. So never go with a light color inside the papilla. That's what we see here. So we go with the dark. And now you can see we get more lightness with a little bit purple and light pink. And that's exactly what we see in the natural one. That's the attached gingiva. So we have more this brightness, and this looks more like a white pink more.
It looks like blanched tissue, which is, what is there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so this is anaxgum, but it's not like we have to discuss today about anaxgum. But as you can see, the same technique like the nature do. So we do the same. We bring the blood inside in our case, and so we get more depth inside. And I want to talk about today more about ceramic, especially about the new stains and new pastes. So this is something Tay showed me up, and it's nice because I love these colors of anaxgum. As you know from many other webinars, we copy the colors of anaxgum inside the Soprano Surface. You have the same color concept, and just to imagine what kind of color we are working here, you see the light pink, purple pink, orange pink. Those colors you can see in my presentation before exactly in the natural gingiva.
Yeah. You know what I love too, if you'll actually stay on that slide just one moment
Okay,
more,
I'm sorry.
Florian. Something that I think is really cool for people who use anaxgum and are wanting to get into Soprano Surface or using Soprano Surface. I find that the pre and post polymerization color change with
Okay.
anaxgum is really similar to the pre and post firing color change with Soprano Surface. It's
True.
really similar. So that's just something for people to keep in mind.
Yeah, as people know, Tay is now more a technician than something else. So she even knows more about the technician work than me now, which it's fine to
One day,
me. I mean,
maybe. I'm trying, but I'm not there.
so and I love the idea when we've talked many years ago about bringing ceramic inside in the market in the United States, and now we have really the pink, the anax way, and understand nature is right, replicate nature is right, because we learned just from the nature, and bring all these colors, this concept inside in our products, and this is perfect. So and we working always on a smart and fast technique. So it's not about me. So this is always they hurry up me and say, we have to do it faster, faster. And now I love that and do something faster than before. So this helps me a lot. So and we've talking about many techniques with many different colors, with 4 different ceramic colors, with a staining technique. We have this technique now with the paste, blood, and root. And we always talk about a technique which is maybe looks like similar to Mio, but it's not. But as you maybe you are a Mio user, and I use Mio for a while, and it's maybe easier to get in our world, in our natural gingiva creating of the with our ceramic. So, and I show you here a case. It's like a zirconia frame, which I just stain a little bit. Um, and put some enamel on top from Soprano Surface. This is something I really love. I have my full anatomic design in Excel cut and just make a minimal cutback, mill it, and I have just to put a thin layer of enamel on top, and this looks perfect like here,
Yeah, and
just by a stain technique inside.
yeah, and I think that may be something a lot of people don't understand is that though we have a stain and glaze kit for teeth, we also have a pretty comprehensive paste kit and paste line of enamels and base shades and mamelons. Like it's really comprehensive. Different enamel
Yes.
effects. So Soprano Surface does have tooth shades too, and I love how you use it to just a small micro layering. You're not painting on the illusion of translucency. You're actually adding translucency to the zirconia. I love it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I love too, because it's just stain technique. I mean, I make a stain technique for my provisional, but just a staining technique, the anterior cases, it doesn't work for me and my doctor. So, and just by putting a little bit enamel, I mix a little bit of polystyrene inside and just a little bit clear, and this looks perfect just by one layer, and this looks way better than before.
Yep.
So yeah, but so what we see is just internal staining with the stains and put a little bit enamel. So that's what you can do, guys, in the same step like you layered later the ceramic. I just finish it right now for the picture, for the presentation, that you can see and imagine what we're doing. Um, so there's one step which is really important. I talked with Tay before how important it is to clean the surface and to sandblast the surface. So I always sandblast my zirconia with 3 bar pressure and 110 micron aluminum oxide. And after I steam it, and after steaming, there's a nice tool which I love really, since Tay told me about. That's the piezo brush. We're working with plasma, and just show that video. It looks really fancy, and it's not like this looks just fancy. It's so helpful. Many users know that if you make a staining technique on zirconia, and this is something it works with Mio, with Cheesy, with Soprano Surface. This happened with all these cases. When you just make a staining on top on zirconia and you don't clean the surface tension, you don't break them, it's always impossible to stain and stay with the stains where you want to be. So that's something helps me a lot in my daily business. So I cannot work on zirconia anymore without the piezo brush. And it looks fancy. Okay,
It's
so
fancy.
after that, I changed a little bit my staining technique now. And people know from the beginning we have a color that sounds stained red. And the stained red was the beginning of our red carrier. It was not easy to get a really bloody red. So now we have this nude blood, which is awesome. But we still need a stained red, and I will show you why. I'm so really sorry, guys. I want to do some drawings, but I don't know why my iPad doesn't transfer it to my presentation on my computer. But I will explain you what I'm doing. First, I use the stained red and cover everything. I go with the stained red also inside in the papilla, as you can see here. This is all the stained red. After the stain red, you can see just under the cervical area, there's a little bit of the stain of root, which is this yellow, looking a little bit yellow. So, and that's what we see in this case. When you remember the natural case, we see also this yellow color, which is the root. So this is something I'm painting inside in my stained red. And after I use this new fantastic blood and mix it like these veins, you can see that on this picture. It looks like I'm drawing some veins inside in this stained red. So this is something like I built up a little bit more volume. And I know, guys, I told you in the beginning, take care about the thickness when you layer it, about the thickness. And yeah, so I have my experience, and thanks God, so Tay and me, we're working on many different cases, so many problems, and now we figure out what's happened. And yes, of course we can work thicker with this material, but we have to try it. We have
To
to try
dry
it
it.
really, really well.
Yeah, and I remember I was really intimidated about furnace parameters because we were so new to ceramic, and I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. No, dry time and getting these stains dry was by far the biggest challenge. A lot of the users of Soprano, they had zero problems with the Soprano Surface paste, but they would have bubbles in their stains, and so it was such a learning curve. But you're right, like we really had to figure out a reliable way to dry these out, because when you're painting a little bit of stain onto a tooth, it dries so quickly, but look how much stain you're applying, and
I know,
depending
that's
on the
amazing.
contouring, it's a
And
lot of
to,
liquid.
sorry, my camera's moving. And to be honest, guys, I mean, on my first course, it was a nightmare because we have so much liquids inside, and
Yes.
all this cases turned to black, and I was really scared, and I don't know. So now I know why, because it was not enough. We don't try the ceramic enough, and so I changed now, but it's not coming from me. So this was idea coming from Tay.
Well, and it came
Using
to me from my friend Linda.
from
She
Linda.
said, yeah, she was having bubbles. And I said, well, you got to dry it out really well. It's got to be white by the time that furnace closes. And she called me on FaceTime. She never calls me on FaceTime. We're always just messaging. And I thought, well, it must be an accident. And I answered, and she was sitting there holding this heat gun. And she was like, this is it. This
That
fixed everything. And now we use it in the courses.
Right, and it works perfect, I can tell you. But take care on one thing. So because these heat guns, they're really hot. So on one
Yeah.
spot, they're really hot. And then maybe sometimes the ceramic they dry out really quickly on the top of the surface. And you think about it's totally dry, but under there to the
Is
zirconia,
with
it's still
moisture.
wet. And
Hmm.
then you get some bubbles inside. So this is something, go to the distance, try it really, really slowly, heat up the zirconia from all the sides, and then it works perfectly.
Yeah, and we have
I
a
can
lot of
tell you.
customers too who will start drying it with the heat gun just because it kind of makes a skin on the outside of the stains, so they stay put. They don't run. They'll just stabilize them with the heat gun and then
Yeah,
place them on the furnace, and just either, if it's a clamshell, close it maybe halfway, maybe a third of the way, and then if it's a more traditional furnace, raise the platform about halfway and let it sit there and dry out. Don't start the program yet, because
that's
what I
perfect.
know about gingiva stains, there is no perfect dry time for every case, because every case is different. I do know some people that set a 20-minute dry time because they don't want to have to worry about it. But in a lot of cases, that's too much, or it's not going to hurt anything, but you're wasting time.
Yeah,
So
so that's a good learning curve, and that's what we are teaching on all these courses and classes. Oh, I'm sorry, my holders. I don't know. It's not
it's
a German
okay.
quality.
We're looking at your picture anyway. But yeah,
So I
it,
just I'm so sorry. I don't know what it's happened. Okay,
one of
so
the things I want to be real clear, because I think if you're not familiar with Surface, you could look at this color and it looks pretty much like one color. The red color is more like a real highly saturated tissue shade. It's like a pinkish red. And so I think I love that you're using it as a carrier. When we put blood out, a lot of people got excited about it and started using it just straight up right on that white zirconia. And what they found was that it was just too intense and it was hard to diffuse it enough to where it didn't look too bright red under the paste layers they would layer on top. So using the red first as sort of your tissue base and then kind of brushing gently in the intense red blood, that's something I think anybody, whether you've been using the system a long time or you're brand new, it's something that they can be successful with. That's what I like about it.
it's so easy and so fast. I can tell you it's really you can do that so quick, and it's perfect and it looks so good. And as you know, I always overbake a little bit my stains. I like that. It's the reason they are really shining, and so I overbake them a little bit, and it looks perfect to me.
So you're going up to like 785. It's
I
really
go up
like
to
you're using your
785. Yeah.
you're using like the same thing you would for your first surface bake. You're doing that for
Right.
the stains, which makes
Right.
sense. Okay.
So, and after that, because we want to do it easy, I use just really like you see here a little bit of the light pink. And I know, guys, this is different. Like we're working on other courses, other webinars. I told you that the really the easy and fast way. We're just working with two ceramics, and here you can see it's a really thin layer just of light pink, and it helps a little bit to bring more value on the cervical area. So that's what we have to do with the light pink right now. So after that, I use the dark pink. And with the dark pink, I cover everything. I covered also the light pink now. Okay, so we cover everything. We go inside in the papilla, and we take care about the texturing, everything now in the dark pink. So there's no other color anymore. We covered the light pink. We go inside in the papilla. We cover our stain mix. Just make the cervical design and all the stippling and the texturing, and that's it.
So you layered a little gingiva light, and then
Yes.
did you dry it out a little bit and then layer over it with the gingiva dark?
You can if you want. I don't do it. I like it to mix all both materials a little bit together.
Okay.
But if you
Okay.
are not confirmed, and if you maybe start with the material, it's helpful. You can try them a little bit with the heat gun, not too much, but you can try them so they are more fixed, and it works perfect. So if you are more approved about materials and have more experience, I'm doing that. I love that to mix those colors a little bit together. Yeah,
Okay. Makes
but
sense.
both part are working. So that's what I love with these materials, because everything is possibility. So you can make just the in place. You can do now like I show you here. This technique are really quick and wonderful technique, and you can make it like with 4 or 5 different colors, and it looks awesome. Yeah. So and then we cover everything with the dark pink. I try that now with the heat gun, just really short time with the heat gun over there, make the stippling inside. And as I show you in Chicago, I don't show you right now, Tate, but I show you that in Chicago with new technique about the cervical area, what we can do there. So you can see it, it looks really nice and really a sharp cervical area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, finally, we bake that. And that's the result after the bake. And I know we've talking about glazing and polishing many times today. And this is something I do with the composite, maybe similar. So I'm using the glaze, but not all over. Especially for my pink aesthetic, I love to have all this texturing inside. I love also have texturing on top of my teeth. So if I use just a glaze, so sometimes I'm losing that. So I love and I prepare sometimes to polish. But with the clays, let's talk maybe if I have just a monolithic crown and zirconia, for example, I have to put the clays on top. So I never
Right.
use a zirconia straight through the natural tea. So I always put the glaze on top.
Yep.
So here I covered my zirconia all over with ceramic, so then I can polish it.
Right. So, because you didn't do just the stain and glaze on the teeth. On this one, you actually did cover it with a thin layer of the surface enamel paste. So it's all ceramic. So let me ask you this, rather than just going straight to polish,
Yeah.
is there any advantage to applying some of the glaze fluid on the ceramic and doing a bake with just the glaze fluid? Because I know sometimes that's what people do on the gingiva
Yes.
if they have just stained. Is it an advantage to do that? Does it give you a more polishable surface?
Yeah, so that's what I show up on the courses all the time. You know, it's you can use, and I like that too. You can use because if you go up with the temperature, you're losing the texture too. So if
Sure.
you polish too much, you're losing a texture too. So, but if you don't want to fill it up with the glaze, you can just use the glaze fluid, go all over, but please use the piezo brush before. It's otherwise it doesn't work really well. So you can sandblast it and all that, but the best way is use the piezo brush, the plasma again, and then you can go just with the glaze fluid over there and bake it again. And
Okay.
then it's you filled up all the porosity a little bit, and it looks perfect. It's shining and it's good, yeah. And you don't lose the texture even for the white aesthetic.
Now, that is something that's different about Soprano Surface that I have learned that a lot of people that have used other like structure paste, if you bake it multiple times, it loses, even twice sometimes, it can lose some of the texture. But I have not seen that happen with Soprano Surface. I don't know how many bakes it would take to start to lose that surface texture, but if it's baked properly, you maintain every little texture that you put in before you bake it.
Yeah, if you cool down the temperature each bake like 5 to 7 degrees, so you never lose the texture. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you will lose it once, but it's like, I mean, it's we talk about micro layering. It's not like we talk about we need 5 or 6 bakes.
True.
So and at least I need 3 bakes, included the clay, so that's fine to me. I don't use my texture there inside. And you know, that's what I want to show you in Chicago because you see here also this texturing, the white aesthetic. I show you the best instrument to do that in Chicago on a demo. So we have really nice instruments now to make this texturing even inside in the clay. So if you make just a monolithic with a glaze on top, you can use that instrument as well. And you get a really nice texturing. So that's what I should want to show you in Chicago, guys. So it's soon. Maybe I fly out tomorrow.
It's really, really soon. Really soon.
Yeah,
So
so
in Chicago, you're actually going to do this two-layer technique live.
yes.
And I think we're going to have like the stain bake, we'll have a pre-bake of that so that you can go straight to your second layer as well. So people can actually see the process of both layers. We'll be baking it there live. We'll see what happens.
It will work, I'm sure. So many experiences. So here the final result of these 2 layers, and here you can see in the cervical area, it's really this light pink coming up through the dark pink, and it's for me it looks really nice. I love that. I can see this blood. I get this depth inside, and we're talking about a thickness. So sometimes like 0.5, 0.8 millimeters, and that's enough. And
Yeah,
that's what I
so
want to show you and
that's
what
going to
I
be
love
my
with that material.
that's going to be my last question actually, because I just realized we never
I'm
got to
sorry.
that. The ideal cutback depth for micro layering, because I think a lot of people in this market, at least, they look at it like you're either making a cutback for layering ceramic or you're doing no cutback so that you can just do stain and glaze technique. This is somewhere in between, but closer to no cutback. So where with ceramic layering, it's a more, aggressive cutback where you're kind of exaggerating the root eminence, exaggerating the concavities interproximally. With Soprano Surface, it's a uniform cutback, like less than a millimeter. Maybe you said 0.8. I think when I asked you last was your kind of go-to 0.8 millimeters.
Yeah, I mean that's depend on the case stage. So if I have enough space, I can do a 1.2 millimeter, and it's nice to have, but it's not necessary. So, and
Right.
even if you make a full arch case or an X case, and you have a titanium bar inside, so sometimes we have to cover it in zirconia, and the zirconia is really thin. So, and I don't want to lose the stability of the zirconia, so that's why I can go down with my layering for zero point 0.8, and it looks really, really perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess one thing I've noticed is that when technicians have done too much of a cutback, they can tend to get frustrated because the Soprano Surface paste is really stable, but it's not meant to build up, vertically. It's not meant to really create height or
Perfect. Yeah.
thickness. So they can get frustrated if their cutback requires them to do that, if they don't adjust to something more appropriate from the material. So I did want to go over that. I mean, we're definitely over on time, but it was all really good information. So I think I don't have any apologies about it. Sorry. But I really,
Um, I'm really sorry. I cannot hear you anymore, Tay. I don't know why. I cannot hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, so I cannot hear you anymore. I'm sorry. I, I'm so sad. I cannot hear you, and but I believe you explain everything, and it works well. I want to say thank you guys for your time, and I hope to see you really soon in Chicago. I want to show you more about all my technique, all my stuff, and let's work together. Let's have fun together. I'm really happy to see you there in Chicago. I want to say thank you, Tay, also for our anaxskool straight in front of Chicago after maybe a year. So it was a lot of fun to me. Bye, guys.